there, kings and queens. Welcome back to another episode of Faith Helps Podcast, and I am your host, Dr. Diamond. If you struggle with anxiety, depression, or stress, more than likely you also struggle with time management. Now, a lot of my clients come in and one of their concerns is that they don't have enough time in their schedule. And so then they feel overwhelmed with anxiety and depression because they feel like they just can't do the things that they want to do. And a lot of times when we look at their schedule, it's not an issue about having too much stuff that they have to do. It's often not an issue of how they're structuring their schedule. It actually starts with the first thing that they told me, which is usually that they're struggling with anxiety or depression, both things that are dealing with your mind. So you hear people constantly say like, how you need to manage your time and how you need to manage your schedule. And, time doesn't wait for nobody. Well, neither does your mind. It doesn't even wait for you. You have to learn how to harness it. You have to learn how to take stewardship and control over it. We talk about maximizing your minute. Yes, that's important. But I actually want to talk to you guys about how are you maximizing your mental minutes. The minutes of your mind space, time, energy, effort, attention that you are devoting to things that are not fruitful, things that are not serving you, things that are unproductive, things that are a waste of your actual time. So I want to give you guys 3 key ingredients today on how you can overcome this trap of your mind when it comes to the time that it's taking away from you, right? So a lot of people, especially like the young kids nowadays, they're constantly talking about, doom scrolling. That's what you mean. That's not necessarily what I mean. I'm talking about being a steward over what you're putting in your mind, what you're ruminating on, and what you're spending a lot of time giving your attention to. Because attention is energy and it's also your time. So one of the things that I talk with a lot of my clients about is just like understanding how the brain works, first off. So it's estimated that we experience over 6,000 thoughts a day. 6,000 thoughts a day. And a large majority of them are often, for most people, negative. I'm not saying all people, but for a lot of people. And when I say negative, we can summarize that as being unproductive. It's not adding to your mood. It's not boosting your energy. It's not something that is aiding you in any shape, way, or form. And a lot of times people don't realize how unmanaged their thoughts actually are. So when your thoughts are unmanaged, that's when you start experiencing what psychologists would call intrusive thoughts. So thoughts that are entering your mind that are uncomfortable, that you don't want. They're egregious or disturbing in some shape, way, or form. And you feel like you just can't get them out of your mind. And the mistake that a lot of people make is that they focus on trying to not think about the thing. Well, the more that you tell yourself, don't think about the thing, the more you're going to think about it. But I want to propose that it's not even an issue of trying to manage and control and fight your thoughts. It's more about your feelings. I know that historically psychology has talked about our mind and our emotions and our behavior as being thoughts leading to emotions, leading to behavior, and so on and so forth. But I actually want to start you guys off with looking at what are your emotions? What are the emotions that you're feeling and what type of fruit are they producing, right? So we don't realize that a lot of times our emotions and our minds, they are so intertwined and connected that we don't even realize how they're taking up space, energy, and time in our actual lives and how we're functioning day to day, okay? So when you think about your mind, it cannot distinguish emotionally between the past, the present, and the future. Okay? What that means is you can be thinking about something in the past and it can be ruminating on your mind. But in this present moment, that grief is coming up and you feel it as if it's happening right now. A lot of people struggle with PTSD, the past, their traumas. It feels like it's happening right now. I can speak from experience. There are things that happened in my past, and I'm like, why am I so bothered and overcome with the emotion of it right now, and my body reacts to it. Your body will react and respond to emotions and those thoughts as if it's happening right now, even though it's something from the past. Or it can also happen with the future. So if you're preparing for a huge exam, or you're studying for a big test, or maybe you have an upcoming wedding, it doesn't even have to necessarily be something that's daunting. It can be something exciting. You're thinking about that, and your body is like feeling it in the present moment. Now, think about that when it comes to your time. If you are kind of occupied mentally with thoughts about the past or the future, and now your body is experiencing those thoughts emotionally in the present moment, how can you possibly be productive on anything that you're working on? So that's what ends up happening for people, is that because they are either living in the past or they're living in the future, and their emotions are coming up and they're feeling stressed or sad or grief that hasn't been processed, or trauma that hasn't been resolved, or just anxiety for the future, whatever that might be, it's starting to impact your productivity. Because if you're mentally and emotionally checked out, you're not going to maximize your mental minutes. You're not going to finish that book report as quickly. You're not going to get your work done at your job as efficiently. You're not going to show up for your family as effectively as you might like, because your mind and your emotions have your body and your functionality checked out. So here are three key things that I've written down I want you guys to like think about. And because this whole episode is about like being good stewards over how we're using our time, both the external time of the world, but also our internal time of our mind, I want to be mindful of how I use your time right now. So I'm going to give you these three things. We're keeping this episode short and sweet. The first thing, I want you to practice taking authority over your inner narrative. And what that means is, what is the story that you're telling yourself? I talk a lot about affirmations, and because I strongly believe that they are so interconnected to how we function. If you are telling yourself this activity or this task, this project is too hard, you're already checking yourself out mentally and now emotionally. So now you're not going to embrace or tackle that task with the same vigor and determination that you would have had you set up in your mind that I can do this. I'm more than capable of doing this. I'm confident that I will effectively and efficiently complete this project in a timely manner. When you start speaking like that over yourself, this is why the Bible talks about how important our words are, because they give life or death to things. So the moment that you start speaking life over yourself, and when we say life, we're not just talking about something coming literally alive. We're talking about life as abundance, life in the sense of for growth and productivity and development. That's what life is. It's a spectrum of things, right? So when we're saying speak life, we might be meaning speak encouragement, speak purpose, speak intentionality over whatever it is that you're about to tackle or that you're facing. And you will see that you will complete that task or that project so much more effectively, efficiently, and better than if you sit with the thought and sit with the emotions of, this is so daunting. This is so much work. This is so hard. You're already counting yourself out. And your body is listening to that. Your spirit is listening to that. And it's responding to that. So a better word to say, even if maybe you do feel like this is a lot, you give that to God. Because at the end of the day, as children of God, He is the one that's backing us up. And He gives us the Holy Spirit so that we can be able to produce work and productivity in the earth. Because at the end of the day, God wants to see us succeed. He wants to see us elevate because it looks good on Him. It makes Him look good, and it turns people to Him, because then they look at you like, how did you get that 12-hour project done in 2 hours? How did you complete that, and you're a mom, and you're doing this, and you're doing that? And you can say that's your opportunity to big up the one that's behind you and before you and all around you, don't get me singing now, God, you get to big him up. You get to give him the credit and the glory and the honor. So when you start taking all that what if and it looks hard and it looks challenging and you say, but my God is with me. But God gave me a spirit of courage and determination. He gave me wisdom. He created me fearfully and wonderfully. He gave me the ability to tackle anything that is before me, and nothing is impossible for me. The Bible says that he made us a little lower than God, right? Now, some translations mess that up. And if you look at the etymology and really just deep dive into the word and translations, some translations say he made us a little lower than the angels, but the original intention was for that scripture to say he made us a little lower than God himself, right? So if we think about we are made in his image, he created us fearfully and wonderfully, and we are just beneath him in our power and in our glory, then we are supposed to be image bearers here on earth. And what it means to be an image bearer is that everything we say and we do reflect back on him. So when we are showing up as our best and we are showing up as effectively as we can in that moment, and we give space for God to fill in the gaps, for him to take away the uncertainty and to work out the problems, to go before us and resolve issues that we don't even know are ahead of us, we give him the glory. We also give people an opportunity to get to know him for themselves through us, right? But also, we live a healthier and more productive life. And I'm not just saying productive in the sense of work. When I'm doing things that I enjoy, I still consider myself productive. When I'm spending time with my best friends and my loved ones, I consider that productive because it's feeding into my social life. It's feeding into my mind. It's feeding into my emotional health and my mental health. It's encouraging me. And I've said before, fun is actually necessary for your mind and your body. You actually need it, right? There is no healthy outcome of being work 24/7, 365. There's no healthy outcome of that. Your body is going to take a big hit and it can be devastating, or you're shortening your life, right? So, and this might be a side, but I think sometimes people are so focused on work because they feel like the harder they work and the faster they work, the faster they'll get the goal and the outcome. And in reality, you're going to get it when God is allowing it into your life, when you're a child of God. Now, when you don't subscribe to being a child of God, that's between you and who you serve, all right? So, but we're going to leave that on the side for a second. Coming back to the point. Being mindful of how you are taking authority over your inner narrative, what you're saying to yourself, how you're speaking about your situations, and how are you speaking about what is coming against you or before you. Allow yourself to see victory before you even see the victory. Allow yourself to see you accomplishing that task or that battle and being victorious before you even physically see it. That's how you set yourself up for the success and the win. Now, key number 2, I want you to practice pausing. A lot of people, and I see it so often in therapy, we try to wrestle and willpower our way through our emotions and our thoughts. That is a losing battle. It's a losing battle, baby. You're not going to win, all right? A better approach is when you're noticing you're trying to get something done, or you have your schedule is booked, but you're starting to notice some unsettlement in your spirit and in your emotions. You're starting to notice that anxiety and that depression. You're starting to notice that nervousness or that confusion and that stress and that tension building up. Pause. Acknowledge it. Stop sweeping your emotions and your feelings under the rug. Acknowledge them. They're coming up for a reason. Your emotions, if I take a very compassionate approach to my emotions, right? Now this does not mean like every single time you have an emotion, you just burst into tears, regardless of where you are. Time and place for everything, right? We'll talk about compartmentalizing in another episode. But you take a moment and you recognize like what is coming up and why is it coming up right now? If I'm feeling anger or I'm feeling frustration, why is that anger and frustration coming up right now? What is it trying to tell me? What does this emotion need from me right now? Does it need to be released? And if so, how can I do that in a healthy, safe way right now? Do I need to step outside? Do I need to do some push-ups? Because emotions, sometimes you have to get physical. You have to physically allow your body to exert that. If you are in a situation where you're noticing some sadness or some grief coming up, a lot of times we don't pause enough so that we can realize like, oh, I'm being triggered at this moment. Like I'm having a physiological, clinical level trigger. Not just how people have been throwing that word around, but like you are having a reaction to something and it's consuming you and it's becoming overwhelming. Maybe it's accompanied with a panic attack, or maybe it's coming with heavy breathing or feeling like there's pressure on your chest, or dizziness and feeling out of control or loss of control. If you pause, you can address that. Now, I know this episode is about time management, and now I'm talking about taking a pause and taking a break, and you're like, what the heck? Think about this. If you don't take the pause, you're going to try to wrestle your way through that assignment or wrestle your way through your schedule, and you're not going to do any of the things that you want to do effectively. And it's going to waste time anyway, because you're going to have to go back and redo it anyway, the right way, because you didn't just take a pause. If you take a pause, you're able to heal whatever is coming up. And I believe sometimes God allows emotions such as like grief to come up so that we can deal with things that we've been trying to carry around in our backpack and ignore. And God's trying to lighten our load. Like, no, baby, deal with this grief right now. Because where I'm taking you, you can't bring all this with you. So I need you to unpack the grief here. And it might be 10 minutes. Maybe it's you need to get set up with a therapist and work through some of that pain from your past, or that trauma, or that disappointment, with whether it be with someone else or within yourself. And you deal with it so that in the future you can be way more efficient and way more effective and successful. So pause, recognize what's coming up. Ask yourself that question of why is this coming up? What is it trying to tell me? Where am I feeling it in my body? How can I release it in this moment? If I need to have a little crying spell, let me have a little crying spell. I'm going to get that out, all right? Put on some good music that helps you usher those emotions out, right? I can't tell you how many times as a teenager I listened to "Let the Rain Come Down and Wipe My Tears, Let It Wash Away My Sanity." Anyway, sorry, that was a tangent. But you need those moments to just allow yourself to get those emotions out so that you have a much clearer mind and you'll be able to be much more effective. Number 3, release what's robbing you. Now, this can be internal and this can also be external. Sometimes we don't realize like the people that we have in our life that are sucking away our time, our energy, our attention, and hence our productivity and our ability to be focused and our ability to be effective and efficient in whatever it is that we're tackling, right? We have those distractions that come up. You know, the text message that you get from Mr. Do Not Call, do not answer his phone. We not going to do this again. I'm on my heal journey, ! Him. But you still got his number saved. And you still answer the call when you wrote that long title as their name. Block, delete. Stop playing games with it. Stop playing with the fire. Because that's what you're doing. You're playing with fire. You're keeping a window open. Maybe you close the door, but you got the window open. Stop playing games. You don't have time for these games. Okay? Your purpose and your calling and your future is way too precious and expensive and essential and necessary, not just for your enjoyment, but for the benefit of the people who are connected to you and connected to God's kingdom. Okay? Too important for you to be wasting it with that joker. All right? Or jokers, whomever it might be, male or female. Get them out. Because, yes, I was referencing a romantic relationship, but it can also be a platonic relationship. That friend that's always edging you on to, yeah, let's turn up and let's like fight and let's go get these. Da 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 da. Sis, I love you, bro. I love you, but I'm not on that right now. I got a calling in my life that I'm focused on. I got things that I need to get done that I'm focused on. This earth is not here for just a playground. I got work to do. I got things that I'm trying to accomplish and things that I want to see come into fruition. Things that I'm hoping and dreaming of that excite me. I don't have time for nonsense. I don't have time to be fighting people and squaring up and being drunk and falling out. I've been there. I have been there. And I am also realizing like that ain't me no more. That's not what I'm trying to waste my time on. All right? My time's too precious. Okay? So it can be external. It can be people. It could be things. I'm literally in a season right now where I'm releasing a job that it served its purpose. And I'm trying to be, I'm finding it. Y'all know the TikTok line, I'm finding it. It take you that long? Yes, it does. I'm in the season of releasing some obligations that are no longer fruitful to what I want to do in life, nor are they consistent and in alignment with what God has told me. They serve their season, and I'm leaving with grace. I'm saying goodbye with grace and respect. But it took me a while to get to this point where I was able to recognize, like, oh, all this time that I'm like complaining about not having, where is it going? To this unnecessary obligation, right? And somebody would say, but you need a job, Diamond. Yes, I do. And I'm going to have faith that God will bring a job that's more in alignment with what I'm trying to get done in this earth. I've made a vow to God that everything that He has placed in my mind, every idea, every plan, every project, I want to leave this earth empty, having poured out and done everything. Tried it. Maybe some of these things, these might not be successful ideas, but I'm not measuring the success based off of how other people react. I'm measuring it on, do I look up at Papa and he say, well done, well done, well done, my good and faithful servant. Well done, my daughter. Well done, my little queen. Like, I don't know how he talked to y'all, but that's how he talked to me. But being mindful of how am I stewarding my obligations? What am I saying yes to? And what do I need to be saying no to? Okay? So those are the 3 key things that I want you guys to take with you as you're trying to figure out how to improve your time management. And remembering that it starts off with how are you managing and maximizing your mental minutes, just not just your clock minutes, okay? And remember, faith helps.